As one of the youngest luxury brands here in America, Genesis has been on a roll ever since the company was introduced to the States back in 2017. Now, Genesis really hit their stride when they introduced their very first SUV to America back in 2021, the GV80, and since then, this has grown to become one of the brand's best-selling vehicles, with the company moving around 21,000 units back in 2021. Now, since then, a lot of new competitors have come out, and Genesis has made some small changes to the GV80 over the years, and as you can see this week, Genesis has loaned me the basically top spec model. This is a 2024 Genesis GV80 Prestige Signature, which means it has basically a Bentley-like rear area with captain's chairs that are heated and ventilated, and it also is equipped with the company's signature 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 under the hood, making 375 horsepower. So if you guys have about $70,000 to $80,000 to spend on a new premium mid-size luxury SUV, how does the 2024 Genesis GV80 continue to stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the beautiful style of this mid-size luxury SUV, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing, because for 2024, the powertrain changes haven't changed. You can still take your pick between either a 4-cylinder turbo or this V6 twin-turbo engine. Now, underneath this hood, you're going to find the company's corporate 3.5-liter gasoline direct injection twin turbocharged double overhead cam V6. It's making around 375 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque. Now, unlike some competitors, this is not a mild hybrid or hybrid. This is no electrification. It is a pure internal combustion engine, and it's hooked up with an 8-speed automatic transmission that is a Genesis-designed in-house transmission. For 2025, Genesis is making some updates to the powertrain, increasing the power by about 5 horsepower on the V6, and on the coupe version, you can get a twin-turbo supercharged version of the engine, making 409 horsepower. I'll save that for a different review. Fuel economy is rated at 18 in the city, 23 on the highway. That is a little thirsty compared to competitors because it doesn't have any kind of electric assist. Genesis doesn't claim a 0 to 60 time, but we'll hook it up to our testing equipment, see what we can get. It has a top speed of around 149 miles an hour, and this is an SUV. You can still tow up to 6,000 pounds with it, and as it sits, it weighs in at just over 5,000 pounds, so it's definitely no lightweight. But let's go ahead and close up the hood and talk about the exterior styling. Now, this color is called Brunswick Green matte. So it's a matte finish paint. It's $1,500 extra. In the light, it kind of looks gray until you see the sun hitting it directly, and then you can actually see the green in it. It's one of the most beautiful colors that you can get on any luxury SUV, and it's only $1,500, which is kind of a steal for matte paint. You can see the Genesis crest grille is bold front and center. It has kind of like a dark chrome with the diamonds in it. It's got the Genesis logo on it with this kind of sculpted hood, which looks fantastic. The signature dual line headlights with the 4 individual LEDs. Those are LED low and high beams, LED turn signals, LED daytime running lights. Down here you can see there are some functional and non-functional vents. No fog lights on this car, but those headlights, they are automatic. They're swiveling as well. They're adaptive. So the styling of this car pretty much still looks the same. Now, there is a 2025 version that is going to have a refreshed design. I just showed you guys that from the LA Auto Show this year. So just keep that in mind. There is going to be some updates coming in a coupe version. This is the squared off body style. Now you can see, moving around the side profile, this is the biggest SUV Genesis currently makes at 194.7 inches long. It has a 116.7 inch long wheelbase. So this is about the same size as like a BMW X5 or Mercedes-Benz GLE. So it's a mid-size SUV that does offer a third row, but this one only seats 4. You can see these wheels are unique to the Prestige Signature. They're a 22-inch wheel with a 5-spoke, blackout design. They look fantastic. It's riding on a Michelin all-season tire. It's riding on a 265 by 40 R21-inch tire. The brakes, you can see, are massive. They have a 4-piston upgraded calipers. I wish the calipers were painted. You can see they're unpainted. And the suspension of this car is just a steel suspension with adaptive dampers, no air suspension. You can see some of the styling details here with the dual lines for the turn signals look nice. The matte color you can see when the sun hits it is absolutely gorgeous. I apologize how dirty the car is. You can see there's some dark chrome along the window trim, integrated slim roof rails with panoramic glass sunroof that actually does open. And then backing away here, this car still gives off a lot of Bentley vibes. In fact, I've spent a week with a Bentley Bentayga, and I have to say, even after spending a week with a Bentley, an actual Bentley, this does, again, look like a Bentley, which is, a great thing that Genesis did with the overall design. Now, looking at the rear of the vehicle, you can see same kind of LED taillight design with the dual light blades. You can see it's a full LED. It spells out Genesis in the back with the GV80 badging. You can see the exhaust system. It has kind of like the same crest shape for those dual integrated signature exhaust system. And then if you want to open up the tailgate, you can see there's a button underneath the rear wiper. push that button, it opens up the cargo area. And this is where the Genesis actually does offer a good amount. You have 35 cubic feet of space back here. You can see my tester does not have the third row. It has the captain's chairs in the back. There's a nice little cargo net over here, obviously. And if you want to look underneath this cargo floor, there is a little bit of storage. There's the cargo privacy shade. You can also fold the seats from back here from a button. Fold down those seats, it'll expand the cargo to what Genesis claims 84 cubic feet, which seems a little bit too much for me. That's like 10 more than some competitors. But as you can see, without the third row, this is definitely one of the most practical mid-size two-row SUVs, especially if you need to take like just 2 or 4 adults with you. Now moving on to the interior, you can see the outside looks pretty much the same, and that is the same story on the inside. But before we get inside, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the Genesis Smart Key Access System with remote start. It has the usual lock, unlock. It has the Smart Park feature where you can move the vehicle forward and back from the fob. You can also open up the trunk, and you can also use the panic feature. Genesis does also offer a digital key function where you can use your phone as a key. However, that's only if you're an owner. As you can see, the door handle is very traditional. Touch that. You can see that will lock the door, fold the mirrors in. Genesis does not offer an auto walk-away lock or unlock feature, and if you touch the back of the door handle, you can see that will unlock the door. Now, my tester with the green exterior has this beautiful beige premium leather interior with the diamond quilting and the stitching. You have 18-way power adjustable front seats, and you can see here these seats are also massaging only on the driver's side. This is the Ergo Motion seat, which only comes on the driver's side. You can see a lot of the controls look great down here. You have multiple controls as opposed to on the seat. The door panel has this beautiful real leather stitching with the actual matte finish wood padded over here, metal accents for the door, window switches and whatnot. You have 2-person memory, and then you also have the Lexicon premium sound system with more of the leather here. Down here, it's even soft padded on some of the storage areas, and overall it makes a great first impression, especially if you guys have never seen this brand. Now, stepping inside, this car has a little over 8 inches of ground clearance, so it has that typical SUV step-in height. And then if you shut the door has a nice solid sounding thunk. And this model here, because it's so high trim, even has soft closed doors, so I wasn't expecting to find that. But starting the vehicle up, the start-stop button is right here. It's kind of blocked by the wheel. Push that button, you can see the engine fires right up. You have a fully digital 12.3-inch display, which offers like a 3D effect that also changes based on your drive modes. And then you have a 14.5-inch display here, which is part of their Genesis Connect system. It has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, it is not wireless. You still have to connect it via a wired connection. That is coming for 2025 in the 2025 refresh, where you have a 27-inch curved OLED display, which looks a lot more modern. This still looks good, but really the software has been updated. Also, I'll be really excited to spend some time with that. You can see going to the CarPlay screen, it doesn't take up the entire display. As you can see, there's still kind of like a split screen here, but it definitely looks great. And it's also still a touchscreen, although I will say this is a very far reach, and Genesis is moving the screen forward for that refresh on the new 27-inch display. But you can see here you have a heads-up display there on this trim. You have beautiful actual stitched leather along the dash where it's padded. Down here, it's also stitched leather. You have a separate screen here to control the climate control system, where you can turn on the heated and cooled seats, the heated steering wheel, and then the massage seat, which is a button here on the seat. As you can see, there's 3 different types of massage, and it works okay. It's not on the passenger side, but some competitors offer a better massage function. You can see the dash vent looks beautiful, how it's one continuous piece. And then down here, you can see, I love how it's leather over here where your knees could hit this. You have an actual dial here to control that. If you prefer not to use the touchscreen, you have a wireless phone charging pad here. Your USB, 2 of them are in there. They're both USB-A's to show, again, the age of this vehicle, more of that matte finish wood. Love the cup holder lid where the wood looks fantastic. Your drive mode selector is here. We can see there's 5 different drive modes: custom, sport, comfort, eco, and snow. We'll try those out later on in the driving scene. This is your transmission selector. Twist that to go into reverse. You can see there's a full 360 camera, and you can also do a 360 perimeter scan. So that's all fantastic. It's pretty much what I expect from a premium luxury SUV like this. And then you can see over here, there's a nice padded center console. Open that up, you can see it's a pretty deep storage well, which is nice. This actually doesn't open up completely, but I like how, you know, they kind of have that little detail. There's also some underfloor storage here, which is nice. And then the seats, they are comfortable and supportive. However, I will say that I wish they were a little bit softer. Some competitors offer softer seats, so try the seats out for yourself. See if you like them. The Lexicon stereo sounds good, but Genesis is replacing it with a Bang & Olufsen for 2025. The glove compartment you can see is damped. It's lined with felt. It's a bin style. It's a pretty good size. No digital camera review mirror. I hope Genesis will offer that for the refresh. And then the steering wheel, you can see it's got a power tilt telescoping, paddles on the wheel. It's got that interesting 2-spoke design. The horn, it sounds pretty much nondescript, what I expected. But overall, it still makes a great first impression. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat of this GV80 because that's kind of the big story here. The interior is the same in the front, but this model here, as you can see, has like a 6-way power adjustment, and you have 2 captain's chairs with these wing-styled head restraints, which will kind of like turn into like a pillow. It looks pretty much as comfortable as the front seats. You have 38.7 inches of legroom. You have these nice leather stitched door panel areas here. You have these power retractable shades, which will block out the light if you want. And then getting back here, you can see in terms of the space, I'm gonna see if I can move the seat back a little bit. That's actually the farthest back that it'll go. This is essentially where I have the seat to drive. So I have to say, legroom space doesn't feel all that impressive considering how, you know, prestigious this trim is supposed to be with the captain's chairs. I can still get pretty comfortable. I can cross my legs, but it's not quite as roomy as some competitors. So that's a little disappointing. You can see you have your own climate control. So 3-zone climate control. You have heated and cooled seats back here, which is nice. Rear seat air vents, you have USB ports, an actual power outlet, and then there's also a wireless phone charging pad here, along with more additional storage and cup holders. This center console is not removable, but it's pretty much similar to what you find in the front seats. You have 2 storage compartments here. And you can recline these seats back if you'd like, but in terms of moving them further back, this is the farthest that it goes, so it's a little disappointing. In terms of the headroom space, it is very good though. You can see these head restraints, they feel really comfortable. And then there's also these little mirrors here if you guys wanna do your makeup or see how you look, so that's kind of built in. The woven headliner, or the Alcantara headliner, also looks great with the dual sunroofs that actually opens up over the front seats only, but overall you can see the back seat has a good amount of space, but it could use more, and this is where the Genesis kind of trails some of its competitors that offer more space. But overall, I'd probably skip this trim because I want the practicality of having that fit seat. But if you guys want, you know, the ultimate back seat in the GV80, this trim is definitely gonna be the one you want to look at. So it's been a couple years since I had a chance to drive a Genesis GV80. Remember, this SUV came out back in 2021, and it was a big hit for Genesis. As the brand's first SUV, they kind of knocked it out of the park. Now, while there is a refreshed one coming next year for 2025, I thought I'd go ahead and show you guys, or at least remind you guys just how good this car is to drive. Now, I actually haven't had a chance to get this trim. It's a Prestige Signature, which is essentially the top of the line, you know, spec of this car with the 4-person seating, the lounge seating in the back, and we have a 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 with direct injection. It's not electrified though. Still makes 375 horsepower, 391 pound-feet of torque. The coupe is going to offer a supercharged and turbocharged version, but let's go ahead and remind ourselves how quick this powertrain is. I have it in sport mode, and we'll go ahead and we'll come to a stop. We'll brake torque it. Feels pretty good. 0 to 60 in 5.57 seconds. So that's about what I expected it to be. Remember, this powertrain comes standard with all-wheel drive, and it also comes with an 8-speed torque converter automatic that's built by Genesis in-house. And the engine itself is smooth, it's refined. It offers good power throughout the rev range, and it's a well-matched engine to this powertrain. Now, I will say that some of the European competitors and some of the Japanese competitors are faster than this competitor now. I mean, a lot of the other entries offer some kind of electrification with a mild hybrid system. Genesis does not offer that. And then you also have Lexus with their full hybrid system, so you can compare this to like an RX 500h. But let's go ahead and try it here. This time I won't brake torque it, I'll just floor it. You can feel a little bit of turbo lag off the line. 5.94 seconds there, so this is with it more going slightly uphill, but you know, the times of basically just under 6 seconds in day-to-day driving, that is a respectable time. I suspect the 4-cylinder version of this car will probably be about a half a second to a second slower, which is a little bit on the slow side for the segment, but I think that it's definitely still competitive. I'll be curious, of course, to try out the turbocharged and supercharged version that you can get in the coupe that will be going on sale sometime next year. But that time of 5.5 seconds is pretty comparable to a Lexus RX 500h. An Acura MDX Type S is also pretty comparable. It's going to be faster than competitors like the Infiniti QX60, but all the German competitors like a BMW X5, xDrive 40, the Mercedes-Benz GLE 450, those are quicker as well. So kind of keep that in mind. If you're wanting to win the drag race, that's what you're going to be looking at. However, you don't buy a vehicle like this to win drag races anyways. And when you start, you know, just driving the GV80 around normally, this is where this car's more comfort-oriented mission comes into play. I mean, the 22-inch wheels on my test car here, they really do affect the ride quality, although the grip seems solid. The steering itself is fully electric. It provides minimal amounts of feedback, although it's quick enough. The suspension feels incredibly soft. It does have adaptive dampers, but no air suspension. The ride in this car just isn't as good as I remember. And maybe that's because I've driven a lot of the competitors, which have slightly better ride quality, or they have an air suspension. But, you know, put your foot down here. You can feel the all-wheel drive system putting the power down. The transmission offers very, very smooth shifts. I like the way it feels. I mean, there's very little complaints with this car. I just wish that Genesis would do like a hybrid, like even a mild hybrid. They don't offer a mild hybrid powertrain at all. And I think it could use that because the gas mileage would be better and the start-stop efficiency would be better. This car's start-stop is annoying. I constantly will shut it off because I think it's just kind of interfering and it kind of gets in the way. It's not the smoothest start-stop system. But overall, you know, the driving feel of this car is good. I'm sitting here getting a massage. The seats are comfortable, but I will say that I prefer, I believe, the Lexus or Volvo seats. They're a little bit softer. Even the Acura MDX Type S, I just had that. That has softer seats than this vehicle even more. And it also has a better massage function. The massage in this car works okay. It only has like 4 different types of massage, and it's only on the driver's side. So again, for the price that Genesis is asking, I kind of expected a little bit more there, but it's still very good. But man, this powertrain is just silky smooth. It is one of the better V6s in the segment, and we'll go ahead and we'll just switch it over to comfort mode here. This is the normal setting, and the transmission will seek out its top gear a little bit faster. The steering gets a little bit lighter. The suspension gets a little bit softer. And the visibility in this car is really good. The Genesis Highway Driving Assistance System, too, it works well. It's not a true hands-off system like, for example, the BMW system or Cadillac Super Cruise, but I think Genesis has done a really great job. I'll be curious, again, to drive the GV80 Coupe with the updated infotainment system, the upgraded powertrain, which obviously this powertrain has plenty of power, but they did add about 5 horsepower for 2024 or 2025. But overall, you know, it's still a nice driving SUV that's really quiet on the inside. The engine makes very little noise. There's very little wind and road noise, very little harshness. It just kind of isolates you. It coddles you. So the Bentley looks of the outside kind of match it in the driving dynamics for the most part. I mean, I've driven a Bentley Bentayga now, and I will say that the Bentayga still feels more premium. Obviously it should, considering the price, but Genesis has really done a great job here. Now, one thing that this car truly needs assistance in is fuel efficiency. It's rated at 18 in the city, 23 on the highway. In my week's worth of testing, I could only average around 17 mpg in mixed driving. On the highway, the best it would do is around 19 mpg. That's a lot lower than what the EPA says. You'll do around 400-ish miles on a full tank on premium fuel. But, you know, the competitors with their 6 cylinders as well that are electrified can easily do 25, nearly 30 mpg in highway driving, and that's where the Genesis is really kind of falling behind. They really need to work on their fuel efficiency. Hyundai and Kia have kind of always been a little bit behind in terms of fuel efficiency, and I just don't understand why Genesis is skipping the whole hybrid route. I think hybrid would do well for this brand, but they're skipping it entirely. They're going fully electric, although we don't have a fully electric version yet of the GV80. But overall, this is definitely still a competitive SUV. I just don't think that it no longer stands out in the way that it used to in terms of the driving dynamics and luxury and tech features. In terms of the styling this vehicle is absolutely gorgeous. But in terms of, you know, the whole package, this vehicle with new competitors out has left me wanting a little bit more, but hopefully Genesis will solve that with the refreshed version coming out later next year. So after spending a full week with the 2024 Genesis GV80, even though this vehicle has gotten very little changes since it came out, it's still one ultra competitive SUV. You can see the design still continues to stand out. Every time I see one of these, I can't help but do a double take because it really does look like a Bentley, and in some cases a better Bentley. The interior is still very comfortable, plush, and luxurious. The technology in this car still looks very impressive, although the lack of wireless CarPlay and Android Auto annoys me, which is coming for 2025 with the new 27-inch curved OLED display. The seats are comfortable with the massage feature on the driver's side, but it's not quite as soft as some competitors that I've spent some time in. The back seat is very spacious, but I probably would skip this trim because it's less practical. I personally don't need to have additional captain's chairs in the back seat for guests. I'd rather just have the bench seat, which will have which will seat up to 5 people as opposed to 4. In terms of the handling dynamics, this car is definitely leaning more toward the comfort end, which is not a bad thing. This is what you expect, although the 22-inch wheels do affect the ride quality. So I was hoping that Genesis would eventually introduce an air suspension. Sadly, they have not still. So my recommendation, if you want the softest ride, don't go with these 22-inch wheels, which come on the top Prestige trim. Just go with the 20s you can get on the advanced trim package. And then if you're looking to buy this vehicle, the GV80 has gotten more expensive over the years. This car now starts at $57,500 for the base 2.5T. If you guys want the V6, it'll cost you $6,000 more, so around 65 grand for the V6. This Prestige Signature basically includes everything for an extra $18,000. My tester here, as equipped with Destination and the $1,500 for the matte paint, is around $84,195. $84,000 is pretty darn expensive. This is more expensive than the last Acura MDX Type S Advanced that I last tested. This pricing is putting it right in line with something like a fully loaded version of a BMW X5, Mercedes-Benz GLE, Volvo XC90, Audi Q7. So those are big competitors that Genesis is playing, and I'd argue that Genesis has the look to definitely back that up, and the driving dynamics. It doesn't quite have the luxury prestige in its badge yet. Genesis is still very much a young brand, but it does get me excited to drive the 2025 model. But for those of you who, again, are interested in a mid-size luxury SUV, I definitely would still put this one at the top of your list. Just be warned, because there is a refresh coming in about 6 months, so you may want to consider waiting for that. And if you want better fuel efficiency and some kind of electrification, you may want to put one of its competitors at the top of your list. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the 2024 Genesis GV80 in this Prestige Signature trim. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.